like to talk to you today about why you need psychology on your homeschool transcript. So your high schoolers need psychology these days because colleges are looking for social sciences on the transcript. Very often they want half a credit of psychology or sociology. Sometimes government and economics are also, if they want more social sciences than a half credit. They're really looking for psychology. Also, your kids who are not college-bound need it because of the richness of what psychology teaches them in social and life skills. So a good psychology curriculum will cover a lot of things, and for good information on how to teach that in your class or to your homeschoolers, you can go to sevensistershomeschool.com and search on the toolbar for psychology. So let's talk about what it will cover. A good psychology curriculum will talk about how the brain works, perception, like optical illusions, and perception on how we notice things, like in advertising. Good psychology curriculum covers genetics, so how our genes affect how we think and feel. It covers how we learn. And then also good psychology curriculum goes back to old times and talks about ancient history and how psychology came to be. Psychology also covers how we communicate and how our needs and motivations affect our emotions and the choices that we make. A good psychology text will cover the importance of self-care, especially sleep, and then our purposes in life and how to be a good friend. So let's talk about those things for just a minute. So our psychology course, if it's going to be a good one, is going to talk about how the brain works. We don't want to overwhelm the kids, but they need a little bit on brain cells, which are called neurons, and the chemicals that the brain cells make. So our brain cells need important things like real nutrition because the nutrients in our food affect our brain cells. So a good psychology curriculum covers some good self-care. The way you eat affects how you think and feel. It also talks a little bit about movement. When you move your body, your muscles cause your nerves to fire off dopamine, and dopamine makes you feel better, and it sends that message to the brain to feel better. So often when I do psychology classes for our local homeschool group classes, we do jumping jacks and measure how we feel before and after because we have little rushes of dopamine. Psychology is also perception. So optical illusions are the way our eyes pick up information and then process it through our brain cells. So here's some optical illusions. What do you see? Perception is also what you notice. So advertisers use this a lot. Like, what colors do you notice first? And what size font do you notice first? They will show large objects and small objects to draw your attention to what they want you to see. So here's a set of buttons. What do you see first? Psychology is also understanding genetics, how your genes work in affecting how you think and feel. Not your blue genes, your gene code genes. So some people are predisposed genetically to be introverted. An introverted person likes some quiet time after a busy day, and they feel better. An extrovert, on the other hand, needs to be around people if they've had a long, hard day, and they feel better. So they're genetically predisposed to think and feel a certain way. Genetics also determine how intelligent a person is, like Einstein, or how athletic, like Kim Smythe's daughters who are ice hockey players, or musicians, like some of my kids. So genetics predisposes us to a lot of how we manage ourselves and our thoughts and feelings. Psychology is also communication. So we communicate with words. So if you think about it, the words that you say will affect how people understand what you're saying. So what if you say, you want to go on the mission field? That will mean one thing, or you want to go on the mission field? So that means another thing. Communication's also nonverbals, the way our body language is speaking. What do you think these people are feeling? If you want to feel more confident, and I do this in our group classes too, is have the students sit with shoulders back and chin up and just hold that pose for a few minutes. After a few minutes, they notice they start to feel more powerful because our body communicates to our brains certain messages. Psychology always goes in a good curriculum back to old times. What's the history of psychology? So if you go all the way back like to ancient Egypt, people who were mentally ill or depressed or angry or had headaches, it meant that they had rocks in their head. So the doctors would remove the rocks, and it usually removed their lives, but they didn't have mental illness anymore. Psychology is in the Bible. So in Matthew 22:39, Jesus said, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind." So the mind and the heart and the soul is in the Bible. In Isaiah 61, the Messiah is promised to bind up the brokenhearted and proclaim liberty to the captives. So psychology is all the way back in the Bible times. Psychology is also about understanding needs and motivations. So the things that we need or the things that are driving us affect our choices and our feelings and our behaviors. Like you've noticed, if you're hungry or angry or lonely or tired, you feel a certain way and you behave a certain way. So our needs and motivations are important parts of psychology. And then our self-care, based on those needs, is very important. One of the most important self-care things that high schoolers need to learn is about sleep. We found that people who don't get at least 6 hours of sleep, their brain gets clogged up with waste products from our brain cells. So during the night while they're sleeping, their brain cells actually draw apart from each other and the spinal fluid washes it clean. Otherwise, we can't think clearly or feel efficiently. Psychology is also friendship skills, especially how to help a friend when things are difficult. And so a good text will give a few guidelines, not on how to be a counselor, but how to be a good friend. And psych usually covers what's your purpose and start exploring a little bit of that. If you'd like a really good psychology textbook, I would suggest going to Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and look in the ebook store for the psychology e-text, and you can get excerpts there and get a feel for what a fun psychology curriculum is. Not a killer, but a fun one that will enrich transcript and life.